Sarah Lacey.
And I'm incapable of using an iPhone. And I'm Paul Carr. And this is why
Welcome
we
to
normally
Why-
just have one person introducing the show.
And welcome to Why Is This News? Isn't this news? Something like that.
Welcome to Why Is This News? Isn't This News?
WITN.
ITN.
This is the pre-Christmas edition.
Yes.
We had our Vegas Christmas last night, and I have to say, no offense to the family members I'm about to go see, but I
It was better.
No, I was just gonna say I probably got the best collection of presents tailored to me I've ever gotten and will ever get.
I will say, I too got an incredibly, perfectly tailored range of gifts. I crashed.
Yours is slightly more tailored, but I got from Megan. We got a free weekend of taking care of Eli, so we could go away, which is sort of ridiculous. From you, I got this ridiculously high-tech, elaborate green tea set with green tea that has sort of green tea sort of by Diet Coke for you.
Yeah.
So that was really exciting. I got up early and made it, and I don't know what's in it.
Is that it? Oh, that's coffee.
Yeah, no, that's green tea.
Oh, that is?
It is really stout. Basically, the baby became like George Foreman and has been punching and going crazy. She's never felt more alive.
She's making her own grill.
Yeah, I think it might be slightly higher caffeine than regular green tea, but that was phenomenal. And here it is, and it's basically I always refill green tea 50 times a day, and now I can just heat this up and have it with me. So
you're welcome.
That was amazing. And then
and apparently the tea is good too. I don't understand.
The tea is
the
amazing.
woman in the store insisted it was the best tea.
And then my husband got me a new Tory Burch bag, which my old one was decrepit. So it was probably the best tailoring of gifts ever.
It was definitely a nice
Just
bag.
goes to less is more. 3 gifts, all perfect.
Oh, there it is. There's the bag. It's just arrived in front of Sarah's face. There we go.
It's also the beauty of having Christmas in Vegas because we're downtown, but we're near the Strip, and the Strip has every niche high-end store.
Yeah. How has
that
no
you
one
could
made the
possibly
song
have.
Christmas in Vegas yet? No, it feels like it's a niche waiting to be explored.
I bet Tony would fund that.
I bet he would, and Rabbit would do the would do the song. Actually, that'd be great. God, there's an idea. That's how ideas are born. I crashed your Vegas Christmas.
You were an integral part. You didn't crash.
I was invited to crash your Vegas Christmas, and I too got some amazing gifts. I got my favourite though, obviously, is the pillows, the cushions rather, that had balloon dogs on them. And Sarah said to me, "Oh my God!" It's about a few weeks ago. I said, "Oh my God, I've seen the best thing on Fab.com, but you're not allowed to look on Fab.com." Now here's the thing.
Because it will become obvious within 1 second what I'm getting you.
Now here's the thing. I never look on Fab.com. So but saying that is the equivalent of saying go and stand in the corner and don't think about an orange penguin. And it's all I can think about now is an orange penguin. So for the last few weeks, I've been consciously not visiting a site I never visit. So I didn't accidentally see this thing. And when I opened it, I realised, yes, had I stumbled across Fab.com, not only would I have been oh, but I would have bought them.
Yeah. You'd have been just in case.
I couldn't have held out.
Yeah, it's basically, as you can see from your lapel,
Oh.
the Not Safe for Work logo.
It's basically that
Less
without the
scribbly.
scribbles, yeah. It's,
On a pillow.
And almost the right colour. It's
It's really bizarre. And the great thing, too, is it's in your first book, you talk about how only women have pillows, and it's a sign of domesticity, and you've just, moved into an apartment, and then, the only other pillow you had is a TechCrunch. There's so much symbolic about it, too.
I had the only, in my place, the only pillows I had were these 2 pillows I stole from, this time last year, near enough, from CES, from the TechCrunch booth. Basically, because AOL said AOL made basically the entire booth was decorated with Engadget, and all AOL had done for TechCrunch was these 2 sad, crappy pillows with the TechCrunch logo on it. So at the end of the first night, I want to say with John Orland's support, but so he doesn't get fired, I'm going to say to John Orland's strong protests, I stole the two TechCrunch pillows, and they've sat on the couch. One was supposed to be for you. But they've sat on the couch ever since.
Yeah, funnily enough, I decided I didn't want it.
Well, at the time, it was still funny. I mean, the fact that I was
At the
hanging out...
time, we still had fondness.
The fact that... there were enough people still there that I still had fun. All of the people who were on the TechCrunch booth are good fun people. Were very good fun people. So I had no problem being there and hanging out and just making AOL really uncomfortable. It was all the non-TechCrunch people were eyeing me with suspicion of what is he doing? We can't really have him on the stand. I almost actually got on there. They were doing this live audio shit for AOL TV, and I almost convinced John Biggs to allow me to be a guest, and then, no, sorry, I convinced Greg Comparet to let me be a guest. This was before Panda, obviously, and then John Biggs vetoed it.
It's right before we launched.
It was, because I was talking to him.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk to him about it.
Yeah, because Greg had already joined, but no one knew.
Right, and I knew, but I didn't want to say to him
Speaking
in case...
of, did you see his post today? He put up a nice post on his blog about what he's been up to.
I saw your link, but I have not yet read the post because we're doing this. But I like Greg a lot, so I'm glad. I assume from your tone he's doing well.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have a lot more detail, but he just talked more about, like, how he's just kind of been in a whole, like, reading books and learning to code. And the thing that I really liked about it is, you know, he's had people be like, oh, well, we could fund you. And, like, I think we could probably all guess who it is.
Yeah.
And,
from the way you did the voice.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, you know, he's which is great. I mean, I don't say that to... I would, if I had money and angel invested back Greg, because he works really
whatever
hard.
Greg does is going to be fantastic.
And he has great instincts. But, like, to Greg's credit, it's like, he was like, no, I just want to take basically the equivalent of, like, you know, kind of my gap year and learn really how to build stuff. Because he kind of knew how to, like, you know, hack stuff together.
Right.
And so he's just been reading books and educating himself and trying to, like, learn different, you know, programming languages. And, like, you know, I don't think enough people do that. I think people are so ready to just run with an idea, want to have the glamour of being an entrepreneur. And, you know, frankly, with the App Store and everything else, there's not as high a bar to knowing really how to code. And, you know, I think the Valley would be better off if we had more people like Greg.
Well, maybe in the next season of...
Even though he's in law work.
Right. Well, funnily enough, I was going to say, maybe in the next series of Real Housewives of Silicon Valley, or whatever it's called, he'll be on it.
I started to tell you this last night. There were obviously, like, there's some links around about it's been canceled. Like, I kind of said the last thing
I'm shocked.
I've written the last thing I have. Not said the last thing I have to say, but written the last thing I have to say about the show.
I'm so shocked that show didn't do well.
But it's funny because I also clicked through this, like, New York Times link that was talking about it, and apparently one of the girls, not Sarah or Hermione, one of the other ones that never gets talked about. Yeah. She's moving to New York, so she's hoping to be in, like, the spin-off or something. And they're very vague about it, but there's this great quote at the end that she was like, I don't think people in New York will as universally hate us as they did in Silicon Valley. I love that the cast members are no longer trying to spin this as, well, a lot of people like it, or, oh, that's just a loud couple people, or, oh, people are just threatened. They're now just like, yeah, everyone universally hated us.
So let's try in New York. So they're going to be the misadvised of New York. They're going to...
So that's canceled too, I'm pretty sure.
No, I heard that's getting another season. I think that was I heard
when Misadvised gets another season and you do not. That is bad.
It may not be true, but my sources tell me, and my source.
I love that you have Bravo sources.
Oh, I
totally know who these sources are.
Well, so and yeah. Also, it wasn't anyone who's in the show.
I was gonna say it's Julia because you guys are dating.
No. I want to just say on the absolute record that we are not.
Anymore.
Ever. I mean, and I adore Julia, but her and I have never. Good Lord, no. But normally I would just laugh off you claiming that I'm dating everyone on the planet, but that one I'm putting my foot
I should
down.
Clarify that that's a running joke that I say you've dated everyone.
I know,
There's no truth to that at all.
But on that one, I am putting my foot down and saying, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, no, I hear it's getting because the thing with that show was. There were three of them, and I guess it was not as awful, not as badly received as.
Well, they were representing what they do. Like, it was a show about people who are advice columnists, and the three of them actually do that for a living, and are fairly successful at it, and are fairly well known in each of their geographies. Yeah. I mean, that's the issue. Is it's like it's the misrepresentation.
I mean, it was a pretty tough show to watch, Misadvised, but it was a tough Bravo show to watch.
Yeah.
You know, as in it was definitely ticked all the Bravo boxes in a way that Silicon Valley didn't. So yeah,
let's move on to more interesting things.
Yeah.
We've already wasted way too much time on this and Christmas and other things people don't care about. Your
Christmas.
parents are coming in town.
My parents are coming to town.
I'm going to see my parents, and your parents are coming in town.
My parents, who have been to America twice in their lives, both times to Orlando, are coming to Vegas. So that's not going to be shocking.
I'm really bummed that I'm missing them. I was cited to you. You are always very weird about your family. So
weird.
I thought maybe you came from a test tube. I was looking forward to actually meeting
realizing
them.
I have biological parents. No, I'm. It's not being weird. It's just that they're just they're not.
Well, you're very British about it.
Right. That's a better example.
We call it weird, like calling fries chips.
Or aluminium.
Right. What do you want to talk about that actually has to do with companies and work?
Very little. I want to talk about, it's the end of the year, we're supposed to do a wrap up. We should do a montage of all the different times you
We can do it next year.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Next week.
We'll do it a year. Join us next year. Alright, so I would like to talk about the New York Times thing that I haven't seen, but everyone's raving about. And so I was hoping you might tell me what the fuck it is, apart from an example of amazing journalism. I read your piece about it, and so I feel like I know the sense of what it is, but I haven't seen it. So could you explain what the New York Times, because the New York Times has done something today that proves that...
I will, but I also want to segue this into talking about our companies, because we're going to talk about the New York Times thing.
Yeah. No, that was what I was going to do with it,
so this was sort of the thrust of my thing. So it's, and it definitely takes a while to sort of take in, but it's basically this sort of, this thing, I don't know what the right noun for it is, that's like this very journalistic, very multimedia approach to storytelling that tells the story of this avalanche coming on, and it's animated and it shows you the tracks of people going through things, and it, the storytelling's amazing. It took almost a dozen people 6 months to put it together, and it's it was just funny because it goes out last night and everyone's losing their mind and everyone's saying it's the future of journalism. All these people who spent all this time trumpeting that you can have user-generated content and lean journalism, and the magazine is the future, and that's why the Daily didn't work, and all of this are now saying, this is the, and it's
this is the future.
No, this is the past.
Yeah.
Actually adapted to a media
Yeah,
age.
guess what? This is what they used to do.
And that's what's so exciting about it is I have not long been a massive fan of the New York Times. I mean, for sort of a classically trained journalist, I've never been super in the New York Times cult.
Right.
That's never been my aspiration, you know. But I went to this dinner that Jill Abramson spoke at, and since then, and maybe a little before that, I really have just had this massive respect for the New York Times that I didn't before. And I know that sounds weird, and everyone's like, where have you been? And maybe that sounds stupid, but it's less because of what the New York Times represents in the past, and it's more about how, they really, they have this rare combination of size and brand and resources and ballsiness to do stuff on the web that really no one else can, and you just don't see other media organizations doing that. You see them holding on to several 100-person newsrooms, but they send these lame memos here's how you should blog. They don't actually do things that are no one could do this. And we always talk about how with older companies that are dying, legacy brands, that they don't play to their strengths. Why does BlackBerry try to be an iPhone? Well, the strength of BlackBerry is having a keyboard. And it's why was Yahoo trying to be Google? So we always talk about these companies that get trapped in these innovator dilemmas, and they try to ape this new thing they're never going to be versus reinventing based on their strengths. And I think the New York Times is really the only player in the old media world that's doing that.
Well, it strikes me that what's happened recently is, I'll give you this. What I'm enjoying watching recently is, and it's not just in journalism, it's in everything to do with tech, is that innovation and sort of disruption and whatever word we're using this week to describe it has gone so far that you see this incredible hankering for how things used to be. Now, I'm not talking just about the Instagram thing of we want our pictures to look like they were in the 70s. I mean, actually, people... when somebody does...
we wrote about this with everyone trying to do long-form journalism.
Right, exactly. People, and I saw a thing yesterday, and again, can't remember where I saw it because it's the internet, but I saw a thing yesterday where basically they were comparing the quality of old Polaroid cameras to... and just old cameras generally to the sort of apps and stuff, and basically, and just, it was this piece basically saying, old cameras were so amazingly good and high quality, and it's really funny. There's this whole realization that in the rush to digital, we've left something behind. And the thing is, it's about deciding what it is you hold on. Now, if the New York Times just started reprinting papers it had published in the 1900s, you'd be you probably want to move a bit more with the times. But to remind the world that this is what real journalism was, and to play to their strength, the parts of their old-fashionedness of their strength, which is they have people all over the world.
Well, and just
they have the smartest people. Everyone picks up the phone.
is this something only you could do?
Exactly.
Like, that's what everyone in old media
and I'm
should be trying to do.
Everyone is so, not everyone in this room perhaps, but everyone...
Eli, for sure.
Eli is so bullish on the magazine. Like Marco Arment's thing has become the avatar for the future of not paying, of not spending money, of this sort of nimble micro journalism, whatever it's called, so super compact journalism. And Felix Salmon from Reuters, who's very smart on media, wrote a piece the other day saying it's just not very good. It's not journalism. It's not. I mean, it's
those are two different points because there are people who debate whether it's good or not.
It's not very good as a piece of journalism. Is kind of what I meant. As in, it's not. If you're saying this is the future of journalism, then we're all fucked. Because it's, as Felix said, it's Marco's friends being paid a token amount to put something together in a very nimble app, and it's basically, and this is now my words, it's basically 4 or 5 blog posts wrapped up in a sexy app, which I get to a lot of people who have never seen journalism, looks a lot like journalism, and it's like the conflation of journalism and opinion has got so much that to a lot of people it is a guy writing about how he doesn't need 2 computers is journalism. It isn't. What journalism is taking is what the New York Times has done today, but also, by the way, what the New York Times does every day. Now, I haven't seen the Times thing, but I feel like I've got enough.
Well, let's not overly lionize them. I mean,
the
New York Times did a story about enterprise companies the other day and said that Hotel Tonight and Uber were enterprise companies.
Let's not.
I mean, this is my point: is I'm not someone who lionizes every word the New York Times writes.
Right, and to be clear, I am. I mean, I'm rereading again the Kingdom and the Power, the story of the New York Times way back, like the Gator Lease thing. I definitely do lionize and sort of almost fetishize the old standards of the New York Times. I think it's a fucking amazing organisation. But I think what the thing they did today proves is not wow when they really try their cape a bit. I think it basically was a way of saying, no, we do this kind of stuff every day. We have people in different countries and in different places. And we have a big newsroom. And no, they don't produce these big productions every day. But this is what we do. This is why we have a big newsroom. And every so often, there's nothing wrong with the Times going, you know what, this is what we do, bitches. What have you got?
Well, and that was my point. Is it was also like it was, in addition to being a great story, it was such a throwdown, and it was so just like, you know.
Yeah. It's nice seeing an old quote unquote dead publication just come in and beat the shit out of.
Financially, they're still a struggling publication.
Right.
There's not a lot of answers there. But this is why it's like calling it the future of journalism is silly because, look, if that's the future of journalism, there is no more journalism because we can't afford that. Hi, Boy Genius.
Hey, little guy. Genius. Here's the future of journalism right here.
I know.
You know what, though? Yes, they're financially struggling, but they pay a shitload more salaries than...
Calling someone.
Who is it, Eli? Is it the future of journalism calling?
I'm calling Don Graham to tell him.
If it is the future of journalism calling, I'm guessing it's not Marco Arment. The New York Times is in profit terms, in bottom line terms, is struggling and all that. But you know what? It pays a shit ton more journalistic salaries than Marco Arment ever will.
Yeah.
You know, even in struggling, it's still way better for the journalistic ecosystem, and it's breaking more stories. And I know this isn't fair on Marco, because if I was Marco Arment, I'd be sitting there going, I never said I was these things. This is other people putting words into his mouth, not him.
I think it's unfair to overly make that point, because it's not what he's saying.
No. So
and I think what he's doing is valuable, and I think there's such a place for saying...
I subscribe to it, I'll say again.
There's such a place for saying, you know what, not all of this has to be... I mean, there's a lot of waste in old media. There's a lot of waste.
That's a great tea thing you've got there. I really like it. My issue with the magazine...
It's still hot. I made this morning.
Fucking magical. This is the best gift anyone's ever given me. So, point I would...
Look at Eli blowing his nose. Do you look cold? He's disrupting Kleenex.
My issue, to be clear, is not with Marco. My issue is with the people who have decided to hold him up as the future of everything, who are like, and if I hear one, I've gone past saying it. The only response now is to punch the next person who says, but they were profitable after week 1 in the face. Everything is profitable after week 1 if it doesn't spend money, and it takes in any. Like, you can take in $5, and as long as you don't pay anyone anything, or do it, then you're profitable. That doesn't mean it's meaningless. When if it's like, oh, he is profitable to the tune of $100,000 or more, then I will take the profitability argument.
Yeah.
But
being profitable, every blogger.
Well, actually, we were profitable, I think, because we sold 60 subscriptions.
That's a very good way to get to revenue, is to sell prescriptions.
When it was just me and Trevor.
Yeah, it's so dumb. Profitable is. But again, it's kids who have never seen anything. I don't mean to sound like a cranky old man, but increasingly I'm getting into one at 33 years old. I'm the cranky old man who's like, there are children basically now who have never read journalism, who have never seen a fucking business and think, oh, this is journalism and this is profitable.
You're talking about Eli. He's a nice illustration. Like he bought you a present at Tory Burch.
Eli? It's an empty Tory Burch bag.
Whoa. So yeah. Anyway, we just segued into like rants we've done a million times.
So let's talk about.
Let's do regrets of the week.
All right. Let's. Well, that is up.
Because I gotta catch a flight.
All right. So, what's your regret of the week?
My regret of the week.
Do not see this question coming. You criticized all of the Pando Monthly people for not knowing the Mediocre Superpower questions coming. It's like we do the same question every week. Do you have any regrets, Sarah?
I know.
That you can think of?
Well, can I say like a non-regret of the week?
The precise opposite of the question.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get.
Can I say a non-mediocre, non-superpower?
I will do a.
I go rock climbing.
But my thing I'm happy with is like we've been obsessively forward thinking about what to do next week because like I refuse to just admit that everyone's off. And
let's talk about this because we have
I have like obsessively like. David Holmes has been like video editing his ass off. Like we've been thinking like.
Can you do that now?
He's a tiny man, so there was not a lot to go. It's like what are things that what are pieces like I have a list of about 6 or 8 pieces I want to write. Like
I don't think you want that.
I just haven't necessarily had time to do. I did a ton of like product news this week because I figured next week like we won't have really any of that. So like do a lot of it this week and a lot of think pieces next week. Like I've been like doing a ton of reporting knowing that I'm not going to be able to be in touch with anyone. Like I've been obsessively because like we're going to do 10 posts a day.
Yeah.
Like I don't care what day it is.
Yeah.
Like I think startup people still read stuff. I think the same way you saw the Mobile Thursday thing where people were online shopping on Thanksgiving. 30% of our traffic is on mobile and particularly iPhones, and like people are gonna have devices and are gonna be checking shit. And it's like I want to have like really good original content, not a ton of it, but really good original content. So like I've been a little obsessive, and I know like the team is all sort of like, oh yeah, this is great. We were really looking forward to working the whole holiday.
Yeah.
But I'm excited that I didn't just wait for the days to get here and be like, oh wait a minute, why don't we have any copy?
That's a good non-regret of the week. It's funny, we're actually doing a similar thing. I mean, it helps that most of our senior writers are Jewish. That's been really helpful for us. So we got a lot of.
Now I'm understanding why the media was always.
So we're giving them Chinese food, and they're going to sit around. No, we're not interrupting our publishing schedule either. We'll be still publishing the same amount every day. But the writers are pre-writing a bunch of stuff. Like we're definitely not going to be responding to unless there's something huge happens.
Well, I mean, my plan is basically because it's like you realize when you have kids that so-called vacations like really aren't because you don't have childcare.
Right.
So like we are taking Eli to Memphis, and I'm basically going to get up at like 5 or 6, work through his nap time, so I'll get a good 10 hours of work in. Mm-hmm. And then Daddy will take care of him in the morning, and I'll do it in the afternoon. Yeah.
That seems like a plan.
So it's going to be a brutal week for me.
Right.
But I am not seating that weekend.
Yeah. No, you can.
Just
of course
because
you
it's
can.
a holiday. Like I refuse to do it.
I go.
And I had a debate with Ben Lara the other day. I was talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going on vacation for 10 days, and I'm not taking a computer. You're an idiot." And I was like, "You know what? No." It's like, and funnily enough,
fuck you.
Lately, I've been getting up at like 5 to 6 every day for the last couple of weeks because we don't have, Adam's still finishing his book, so we haven't had an East Coast editor up, and I just wanted to like take more ownership of what's going up in the mornings, and so I was talking to Ben like super early, and he's like, "Why are you up this early?" And I was like, you know what? I was like, Ben's dad, Ken Lehrer, told me when I did the HuffPo Mafia piece at the very end of the interview when everyone had left the room, I said, "Do you ever think you'll do another startup?" And he looked at me like I was insane, and he said, I used to get up at 5 a.m. and write Huffington Post headlines every morning.
Oh my God.
I'm never doing that again.
It's a circle
and it's
of hell.
like every time I like my alarm goes up at 5 and I have to like get up and like find something to write or like write headlines or edit someone's post, and it's like, you know, I haven't been able to sleep all night because I'm pregnant and I can't get comfortable, and like I did 5 pieces a day. It's like I always sort of think of Ken Lair, and like even Ken Lair when he started HuffPo had way more money than me, way more established. Everything else was getting up at 5 a.m. to write headlines, and it's like that's how it's done.
Yeah. No, I also have this thing where I hate holidays so much. I don't mean that in the Scrooge sense. I enjoy the holidays and I enjoy the giving and receiving of gifts and goodwill to all men and all that shit. But I hate the fact that everything stops. Mm-hmm. Like if you're the other part is it's not you make it sound a little bit like it. I mean, it is very, very hard work, but it's also there's nothing else I want to be doing. Like the frustration for me about the Christmas week, and I felt the same around Thanksgiving, is the news doesn't stop, the world doesn't stop, and the thing that I want to be doing today is also the thing I want to be doing on December 25th. And obviously I'll take the time to spend time with family and everything else, but I still want there to be stuff on the site. I still want people to be coming and reading and enjoying, and not everybody, and there is the actual fact that not everybody celebrates Christmas. But even those that do, to your point, the idea that we all just stop consuming media, it's definitely not true with television. It's not like, no one has ever said, well, let's not put good shows on TV on Christmas Day because no one's watching. It's like, no, people are, and yes, I imagine that fewer people read the Financial Times. I actually don't think there is a Financial Times on Christmas Day, but fewer people look at financial news on Christmas Day. But the type of writing that Pando has, the type of writing we have, hopefully is enjoyable enough that it isn't. It's not like, oh, I've got to go read Pando.
Well, and no entrepreneur, even if, I guarantee you for everything Ben Lair is saying, he's going to be thinking about Thrillist every day. Yeah. Like, you were still thinking about your business like, for our audience. And, like, I do disagree with you. I would like to take a few days off. Yeah. And just hang out with my kids and hang out with my husband and recharge. Because I've been writing a ton. I write a lot more than you. Yeah. And writing is draining. Yeah. Yeah. So I actually would like to recharge. But that having been said, I'd like to do it for like a day. Right. Look, I've been, even before starting Pando, I was my own boss for several years between books and everything, and I never took time off. I can't remember the last time I actually really took a week off and unplugged. That's sort of not my style for the same reason. Yeah.
All right. Well, good.
So do we have we should say an actual regret. Do you have one?
Probably. I have a regret that I fixed. Does that count? Like, it's not an active regret, nor is it a passive regret.
In the interest of me getting to the airport, we can say it counts.
No, in the last few weeks, I've really started focusing on, we had projections before, but I've really started focusing on a cash flow, a real solid cash flow forecast, and updating it with every number, with every new hire. And the good news is actually, the situation with our company is as healthy, if not healthy. I was really, a part of me was putting it off because I didn't want to suddenly discover I had enough money to last till January. But actually, the situation is, especially putting in the real subscription revenue numbers and the actual real numbers of revenue, it's actually pretty good, and we're going to be okay. But just the view it gives you of the company, the sort of 360-degree view it gives you of what's going on, and when somebody's pitching a book, to actually have that innate understanding of whether you can afford to do it and how much it will cost to do, or when we're hiring people and all this stuff, I wish I'd done it at the beginning. I wish a year ago, the publication hasn't existed for a year. Our company has been in existence for a year. I wish I'd been following this data from the beginning. Yeah. Because it's not really a regret of the week, it's a regret of the year, which is I wish I'd been doing that sooner, because it's really. And even if the news were bad, even if it were like we were in trouble, these numbers would really help. Yeah. But I just feel like I've suddenly opened a door and seen the behind the scenes of my company and understand more how it works, which is
that's how I always feel like not really after board meetings, but after the prepping of a board meeting, Yeah. I guess my regret of the week is we just had a board meeting this week and we had our forecast. Budget and everything for next year. And it's so funny as a first-time entrepreneur, because when it comes to some of this stuff, you definitely get to you take other people's advice and you're sort of like, well, I've never really done this before. And like there were a couple of things that it was like I should have like gone with my gut on, and I didn't. And then it was like in the meeting, people were like, why is this in there? I was like, yeah, that was what I asked too. So like, you know, I think
you have to trust your ability to make decisions and to know the company.
Mine is similar to yours in that, you know, I've never felt as comfortable, and again, it's also sort of embarrassing to admit, like I've never felt as comfortable with the financial aspect of the video. What am I talking about?
It's profitable, by the way, this video from the beginning.
From day one. I've never felt as comfortable with like the financial part of the business, and by financial, I don't mean what do I pay people, what do we do, but actually like how it actually putting it together. Because I'm not an accountant, and like you know, and so like I have such a gut sense for the editorial and the vision of where we go and all that, and so that's been a lot of my learning curve over the last year.
Yeah.
And you know, I think I've obviously made a lot of progress because I sort of started out not really knowing anything, having never run a business before. But you know, I mean, I kind of agree with you. It's like it's part of it is not being intimidated by that part of your business, which I think is like part of what we were both saying.
Yeah. No, it is. It's not being and it's realizing that even though, look, it's like I guess there might be parallels with raising children, which is not everybody is born a parent. Is born an expert in all aspects of childcare.
No one's born a parent.
No one's born a parent. Let's hope. We're like Russian dolls. No one is. Oh.
I think we found our image for this.
It's a girl, and there's another girl, and there's another. That's weird. No, it's no one is born. Sorry, no one when they give birth is immediately a parent expert. But there are certain fundamentals where they are an expert because it's their kid. And part of and from what I've seen about parenting, a lot of it is about having the confidence to realize, no, I do know what's best for my child. And obviously there are some terrible parents who think that not vaccinating their children is a great plan or whatever else. But ultimately, having the confidence to say, with all due respect,
but you know what? If that person feels that way about their kid, that's what they should do.
Right. That's my point. The point of going, with all due respect to the established wisdom on this in the books. This is my child, and I'm the parent, and I have to take responsibility for this child. So therefore, I have to have the confidence in my decisions. So, and I think that's the same with business. It's like there are people who understand EBITDA better than I do. There are people who understand cash flow projections and even subscriptions and everything else way better than I do. Hopefully, I talk to enough of them that some of that seeps in. But the point being, I do know what not safe for work is and how it works, and the more data I can have, the more I feel that. So.
All right, we gotta go.
You're gonna be late. So you can do the join us next week thing.
Join us next week.
And why isn't this news?